I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this. We've had a million nights just like this. So let's get down to business. Back and forth with the bullshit. I know I said it before, I don't mean it. It's been a while since I had your attention. So it might hurt to hit it.
How we doing, everybody? What's today? Friday. Happy Friday! Woo! Hope everybody's having a good Friday out there.
We can't leave them
a little bit here.
Let's get down to business.
Welcome. Why does it say? Oh boy, we got some corrections to make already.
Here we go. You know, the first time I ever heard that song by Tiesto was actually in Brazil, and every time I hear it, it brings me back to that moment of being in Florianopolis, beaches, food, pandemic. There was nobody in the restaurants we went to. We were VIPs everywhere. Amazing times, bro. Amazing times, amazing vibes. What a great song, man. Tiesto just continues to spit out and put out absolutely fire over and over and over again.
You know what
Talk
really,
about a career.
You know what really amazes me about that is if you break down that song, right, and look at the overlays in the track, it's like 4 beats. It's just amazing. You know. Anyway, welcome to the show Friday. We got a lot to talk about. Happy Goat Day. We're going to get into that. 2/23/23, big day in Chicago for Chicago sports. You know, for the rest of you plebs out there that don't know what the GOAT is, we're going to let you know what GOATs are, especially coming out of Chi-Town.
No number 12 there, though. I'm so confused.
There isn't. Just 23, the greatest of all time, of everything. The greatest human, the greatest influencer, the man that started...
The greatest human?
The man that started it all. The man that launched the brand that changed the world. We're going to get into that.
Oh, the front door.
We're gonna get into that. You're gonna have a lot of time to talk about that if you would try. It's been an interesting week around here. Been a whole lot of nothing going on. A lot of dog poop picking out of the yard. You know, ALGS for Apex is going on right now in London land. So I watched a little bit of that last night. Those kids are just absolutely cracked. For those of you that
I thought Nick was going to that. What happened?
They didn't make it. They did not make that.
Did you see that they all finally got their first nuke? Swag, Nick, Tim, and Clock.
Yeah, a few days ago. But then I also saw last night they got 4 nukes in a row.
Yeah, 3 or 4 in a row. It was pretty crazy. But that was without Swag too, so I don't know what that says about Swag.
It was with Tim, so it says a lot.
That's true. No, it was good. I'm happy for them. Happy for the success. Obviously, we all tune in and watch.
Shout out to the boys over there. So I didn't do a whole lot this week. You know, kind of moping around. I know that you were in front of the television a little bit. Your boy Business Time turned you on a little something.
Yeah, you told me. So first of all, we always bounce shows back and forth with each other in terms of like different things to watch. You know, me being a great guy, putting you onto Peaky Blinders. You know what I mean?
Good one.
Which changed your life. You know, Yellowstone. We've gone back and forth with quite a bit lately, which is the most recent one. But we had talked about different sports to kind of get into and everything like that. And you had mentioned Formula One, and I really knew nothing about Formula One.
As do I.
So I turned it on, started watching. It's pretty good. You know, the Netflix series, it's a little like soap opera-ish, if you will, which is great. Like, if you're a sports fan, and I literally put my wife in front of it with me last night, and she watched 3 episodes, and she loved it. Because she's like, oh, that guy who's the head of Red Bull is married to Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls back in the day, and, like, there's, like, all the little correlations that they make. So, fellas, if you're looking for something out there, the F1 thing is pretty dope. honestly, the speeds that they go flying around the track at 200 miles an hour, how like they literally can't touch each other. Like you touch another car, you're pretty much your race is completely over and you're washed. That's the one thing I always thought. Like I guess because you're in such a smaller car, right? NASCAR, we see it happen, right? They get in a wreck, they go back.
Robin's racing.
You know what I mean? They're 20 laps down, doesn't matter. Throw them back out there. This is not that. You know, there's 20 drivers, there's 10 teams. You know, it's very much all point based as well too. It's really good. I've made it all the way to almost the end of season 2. So hopefully I'll have it all ready to go for the new season to drop on Netflix, which I believe is coming up in a few weeks.
Should be, which would have been last season.
The number one thing you got to be careful with here, guys, is that Formula One, if when your girl does watch it with you, right? Formula One travels to some of the most beautiful places in the entire continent. Not continent, I'm sorry, world. And so with that being said, your girl gets into it, she might want to go to a race, okay? And these things are not cheap whatsoever. It's glitz, it's
they're
glamour,
interesting.
It's there's a lot going on to it, but it's a good watch, and I appreciate you putting me onto it. So
absolutely. And shout out to my cousin Clay back there holding it down in Illinois that turned me onto this last year.
Thank you, Clay.
And I was definitely on the same token. It had nothing going into it. Watch the entire series with my wife actually. And you know, we got into it. We kind of were pulling for Red Bull to start with. We you know, there's definitely front runners, and that's the thing about Formula One is money talks, and it's not it's not things like you just said NASCAR where a stock car is a stock car every time. No, they have the freedom. They have to go within certain guidelines, but they have the freedom to do whatever they want to do to the car to make it faster. And like to your point as well, there's a lot of drama. It is like the Desperate Housewives. You know, for those of you that do get into it, business time, your boy will be down in Miami. We are going to the Miami F1. We tried going to Vegas, but they sold out super quick. But for those of you that are wanting to attend your very first F1 race and don't want to break the bank to do it, I highly recommend the Austin track in Texas, which there's now 3, but the Austin is the most reasonable. It's also one of the fastest. But yeah, so Formula One is heating up. We have approximately, I think it's like 85 days now or 90 days till the Miami race, which we just had some really, really big news out of F1 that Ford is now going to be involved. And it brought me back to my Ford versus Ferrari days when, you know, Ford basically gave them a blank check and said, you know, beat Ferrari. And eventually they did do it at the Le Mans 24 over there. But it's nice to see an American motor company back in it because all of the front runners, Mercedes, McLaren, Ferrari, you know, all of those, they have blank checks. And I don't know if you've gotten to the budgeting yet of an F1 team for a year. Have you got there yet?
I'm not quite sure. I mean, I've seen some like clips on it, you know, where it's like how many hundreds of employees they have, and then how some of the staffs are double the size of the other ones as well, too, and different stuff like that. So it's very interesting.
This was, I think, Red Bull staff is $1 billion. That's their budget for a season. For a season. So yes, it is glitz and glams. You will see Tom Cruise in the pits. You'll see Brad Pitt in the pits. All the celebrities. It is, and that's kind of what a lot of people don't like about F1 as well. Is it's more of a social, you know, than you know, sitting in the stands drinking beer, popcorn, and throwing hot dogs at the racetrack. You know, it's more of a hey,
standing on yachts. Yeah, everybody's standing on Monaco, their yachts, watching everything. Yeah, go around, and it's
But I'm glad you're into it. So, you know, we are going to be having a little touch on this as F1 kicks up. It's going to be kicking up here in another, I think, a month or so.
Like that, yeah.
So congratulations on watching that.
If you want to build up to it to kind of like get into F1, the episodes are only like 30 or 40 minutes. They're not too crazy as well, too. And they do keep you very engaged and kind of get you understanding the drivers, where they come from. These kids come from like racing, you know, their little go-karts when they're, you know, 8 years old all the way until they've been rivals all the way up until now. So, and then the history in terms of the lineage and different stuff like that of guys who come from. I wanted to hit a quick thing because you were talking about tickets, right? And you were saying about how you couldn't get into the Las Vegas one.
Correct.
Well, my wife comes to me a couple days ago, right? And she's like, hey, we got a city card, right? And I'm like, yeah, we have a city card. You know, why, what's up? She goes, well, there's a Beyonce concert in Miami.
Yes.
And, you know, so now they do these things where if you have a certain card, you get early access to the tickets before everybody else does. which I think is crazy to me. And I'm like, how much are the tickets? She's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? She's like, well, I don't know how much they are. I'm like, how many tickets are we buying? She's like, well, I need at least 4.
As many as you can.
I'm like, well, so this is what I said to her. I said, well, listen, all right, listen, we'll buy the 4, okay? But you're not buying the 4, you're buying 8, okay? Because I need those other 4 to pay for the 4 that you're buying.
Correct.
Right? Because I'm not dropping $4K on 4 tickets for you and your homegirls. It's not happening. We got to make some money back off of it.
In reference to what you were saying, I had American Express Platinum pre-sale that I couldn't get in. You had to actually pay F1 a $7.77 deposit to get on the waiting list. To get another pre-sale, couldn't get that. Then it went on to general public, and I was on there. On the very second it went live, couldn't get that. But then now...
These bots, right? The bots just buy everything.
I don't know, dude. Well, here's what I think happened with Las Vegas. Is I think Las Vegas went in cahoots with all of the casinos because the casinos have tickets. The casinos are now trying to sell packages. There's $1 million package for that weekend. $1 million to stay in a hotel, pit passes, $1 million per ticket. I just got a notification yesterday about the main grandstand, which is across from the pits, and then I do believe it's on turn 4 is the other one. For 2 tickets with hotel, one of them was $25,000, and the other one was $35,000. Now
we're talking anything that you would ever spend like sporting event wise, like $1 million on. Like, okay, no. let me preface this question real quick. You could spend $1 million to go back and watch any sporting event live or VIP or anything like that.
Or I keep my $1 million.
You can keep your $1 million, or you could go back in time and watch any sporting event you ever wanted to.
Never.
Back in the day.
No.
No.
First of all, I don't have $1 million to blow like that.
If you obviously, if you had $1 million, and you probably have billions, and $1 million is really a drop in the bucket to you.
No.
So let's pretend that's the issue.
I wouldn't spend that. I mean, we spent, in full disclosure, I mean the Miami F1 tickets were $1,500 a piece. The Las Vegas tickets are $2,500 a piece. So you're looking at Las Vegas, you're at $5,000 just to get the tickets before your airfare, before your hotel, before anything. Those are the cheap seats.
What about like a Michael Jordan?
No, I saw him.
6.
Nah.
Winner.
Nah.
No. Nothing.
Nah.
Okay.
Nah. 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 Your couch and your lazy boy has the best views in the house. I've attended thousands of sporting events. I watched Jordan play live. I've watched the Cubs in the World Series. I've seen the Blackhawks in Stanley Cup contention. I've seen them win the cup. Nah.
Okay. All
right. Let's get into it now.
Let's move on to some sports.
Happy GOAT Day. 2/23/23. Michael Jordan, the greatest ever, wear 23. Devin Hester, the second, the Bears greatest ever, wear 23. Happy GOAT Day for you two. Yes, now Tom Brady is a GOAT, but he also doesn't wear 23, so we're just talking about the 23s that wear GOAT. Yes, LeBron James did wear 23, but he changed it, so he gave up his legacy. I don't care about 4 or 5. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 2, 3. And yes, as I said before, he is one of the most influential humans on the planet. He started the Nike. He made Nike what it is today. Jordan brand made about $285 million last year off the Jordan brand alone. He is probably one of the most influential humans on the planet. Besides your birthday, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, happy GOAT Day.
You said your exact words when we started this was that he's one of the best human beings on the planet.
Ooh, well, that could have been worded incorrectly.
I would say it is worded incorrectly, considering that he runs sweatshops in, wherever it is to build his $300 pair of shoes.
He doesn't.
Nike does, and he's the face of that brand, right? It's Jordan brand, right? It's not.
Are we really going to get into this? Who made that bunk bed behind you? Who made that chair you're sitting in? Who made that Japanese headset you're wearing?
I did. IKEA. First of all, I put this together, all right? And I want to say this. I've been catching a lot of fucking flack from some of you people, all right, about sitting in my kid's room, right, doing this podcast, all right? You don't think if I could change this shit that I would, all right? This is the way that it fucking is, people, all right? You come here to watch, okay? Our feelings don't care about your facts, all right? Listen, at least you got SpongeBob in the background. At least I made the fucking bed for you today, okay?
I guess so.
God knows my kids aren't doing it. All right, God only knows that. I do find it funny that Tom Brady has retired twice now, both on February 1st, which, 2-1, 1-2, however you want to see those numbers as well, too. I thought it was a little ironic.
Let's hold on to that.
Huh?
Let's hold on to that. We'll circle back on that one.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. Happy GOAT Day if that's what you want to say to Michael Jordan. I mean, Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time. Sure, he's not the best human being on the planet. He's a great marketer. He's a shitty fucking front office person. He's an average fisherman and race car team owner. And that's about it. But congratulations to you being great at basketball, Michael Jordan. We appreciate your tenacity, your toughness, and the way that you lock in and we're able to go 6-0, winning 6 NBA finals while still not making the playoffs in a lot of the times that you were there as well, too. So,
this is coming from a salty-ass Magic fan right here.
Take it all with a grain of salt.
Here.
Hey,
speaking of which,
Jordan didn't wear 23 or 4-5. I think he had to wear number 12 when he was here in Orlando at one time because somebody stole his jersey.
Yeah,
he had to play the game with number 12.
Thieving bastards. Well, we could talk. I do kind of want to touch a little bit on your GOAT, Mr. LeBron over here, and we kind of touched it on the.
Who said he's my GOAT?
I said he's your GOAT because nobody talks about the other GOAT like that if he doesn't have a backup GOAT.
I think there's flaws in every single one of them.
Anyway,
I mean, okay, go ahead, please. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt again.
I'm
going to enjoy my coffee. Please go ahead.
Yes,
you have the floor.
We talked about this a little bit at the end of the last podcast, and LeBron's meltdown after not getting that foul call. I didn't get into it and see a whole lot of it, but I did this week, and I just got to say, oh my God, like, my man, what are you doing? Okay, I understand not getting the foul call, right? And it was a foul. It should have been called. But staying down on the floor like that, then going to the bench, pulling your jersey up over your head, the continued comments after, you still had a chance to win that game in overtime. You didn't get the call. Okay, now, I also didn't watch overtime of that game, so I can't really see how he performed. But to me, you have to be an incredibly tough, emotional human to flip that and get reinvested back into the game to carry your team on a win. And I just cannot believe the temper tantrum, the childlike, I didn't get my way of what happened over there. And I think that, a lot of the LeBron haters, which I guess you could call me one of them.
You are definitely one of them.
First of all, I have nothing but respect for what that man does off of the court. The fact that he was handed a bag at 18, regardless if he is doing these things off of it, the fact that it hasn't came to light, kudos to you. Okay, never an issue. Nothing in the papers. Never in a bad place at the bad time. Kudos to you. But I also watched Jordan, obviously, and I also watched Jordan not get calls, and I also watch Jordan complain about not getting calls all of the time. This to me is just a next level egregious. And then the fact of, again, Jordan might not have got the call, and this is kind of goes back to the GOAT debate as well. He might not have got the call, but he didn't go to the bench and pout and then lose the game. It only motivated him further to basically fly through 5 people who were hacksaw Jim Duggan him and dunk over their heads. And I just, you brought it up to my attention the last show. I was really flabbergasted when I started really digging into it this week.
Well, listen, I was the one who brought it up to you because I did feel strongly about it, and I have said before that that's one of the things that will always keep LeBron in that second-tier argument over from not being on the same level as Jordan, right? Yeah. Jordan would have seen that happen. Jordan would have said, okay, you're going to foul me blatantly on national television in front of all these people against a bitter rival in terms of you're talking about Lakers Celtics, and you're talking about it is a regular season game, but Jordan wouldn't have cared about that. Jordan would have gone out in that overtime. He would have scored 12 points in a row. He would have said, I'm playing 5 on 8 because I'm playing against the 3 officials as well, too, and I don't fucking care, right? Game over. He had that will to win.
He did.
Yes, LeBron is very frustrated. Right, and I know he's very frustrated, especially this year right now. You're talking about a guy in his 19th season who's going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the next 2 games for the all-time points scored, okay? And in his 19th season, at 38 years old, this man is averaging 30.1 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 7.1 assists per game, okay?
Now, before you go on, I'll give him kudos for that, but this ain't the same game. This ain't the same game that Elijah One played in. This ain't the same game that Jordan played on. This isn't even the same game as the European League. A lot of those guys that come over talked about how easy it is to score in this league.
Jordan was playing against Jeff Hornacek guarding him, homie. What are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? The athlete in today's NBA is 10 times better than what it was back in Jordan's NBA.
And they're always hurt, but the other players weren't hurt. And then if you go to the talk about 10 times better, okay, let's talk about that.
If they got hurt, Jeff Hornacek was going to have to go back to selling insurance or doing a plumbing job.
Give me a break. Give me a break. You watch those guys in the 90s go through and just getting absolutely destroyed, hacked. It was known that if you drive the lane in that era that you were getting put down. And a lot of times you didn't get called for the foul.
What just happened to LeBron when he drove the lane? What just happened?
Did he get hacked?
He got completely. He got hacked.
Oh my! That was not a hack. His arm didn't even move.
Are you kidding me?
No.
That's because he's like one of the strongest people to ever play the game.
Oh, really? Then why is he the easiest to flop?
A mortal human. Well, okay, we can get into the way that soccer has taken over basketball if you would like to.
First of all, hold on. We can wrap this up, but we're not doing that. But we're not going to go back and disrespect the players from the 90s and Jeff Hornacek and those players as well. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. You don't think that there's Steve Kerr, really? You don't think
John Paxson? You think John Paxson was an all-time athlete?
Grayson Allen?
Grayson Allen would have been a superstar back in that NBA. He would have fit right in, too. The dirtiness that Grayson Allen plays with, the hardcore toughness,
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, It doesn't matter on that league. You're really spitting some uninformed bullshit here, and I'm here for it. But my God.
You're just frustrated that these facts are hurting your feelings.
There's no facts. There's literally no facts. There's no facts. The only fact that I know is that the number 2 Gators upset Tennessee at home for
fan base, dude.
For a great win and to bring the Florida franchise back into relevance. Thank you, Coach Golden. Thank you. Now there was a tweet that you saw. I think that you wanted to bring up about this, right?
Pulling it up right now because this is the most asinine thing. This guy Mark Ryan on Twitter, and it's interesting because I see him. I believe he's a South Carolina guy now. He tweets about Gamecocks or whatever. But I guess his alma mater is the University of Florida. And when that happens, right? When that happened, and he goes, look at the class. Let me read the exact tweet. I want to get this. He said, unranked Florida just upset number 2 Tennessee at home. My alma mater. Did we rush the court? You tell me. Here's the video. Why did we not rush the court? Because of class and culture. Hashtag Gators.
And then somebody replied, right, when they rushed the court after beating Auburn?
Last year. Literally last year. And what happened because of that? They got fined. Right? They got fined by the SEC for rushing the court. So what do they do for the last 8 minutes of the basketball game that night? They put a big flashing sign saying, do not rush the court. Whatever you do not rush the court. And then what happens? They don't rush the court, and it's all because of class and culture of the Florida Gators, right? That Florida Gator collective,
now we're talking. Now we got to bring in the collective because the collective has something to do with that.
The class and culture of the University of Florida, man. What? It doesn't get any more classier than that, right? Aaron Hernandez, Riley Cooper, Urban Meyer. Classy, man. It's classy, bro. It's very classy.
Do we need to get into the Florida State arrest records for over the past 20 years?
Let's get into the Florida State or Florida arrest records in the past 10 years if you want to.
But let's go 20.
Do something more relevant.
No, let's go 20. Let's go 20.
Yeah, you have you have like a serial killer. What are you talking about?
Hey, don't fuck with the Gators.
Hanging with Hernandez, bro.
Exactly. Well, speaking of asinine things, the Empire State Building
lit up. This is a terrible one too.
Lit up the Philadelphia Eagles colors after they won the NFC Championship.
Oh, God.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? This is somebody that's controlling that has no idea about the passion of sports. I would say has no idea of the passion of New York City in general. To put up another team's colors inside your city Wow. I'm surprised that they didn't burn that thing to the ground. I know they wanted to.
Well, it's just very tone deaf, right? Like, obviously the person who did that is not a huge sports fan because you don't understand the optics of it whatsoever. So you do that, you throw it up there. Now, look, Giants fans might not have a problem with it. At the end of the day, a lot of people had a problem with it. They tweeted about it. They made enough of a social influence about it to the point where then they then threw the Chiefs colors up there just to try to wash everything over and be like, oh, look, we're doing it for everybody. You know what I mean? We're congratulating everybody with colors of the Empire State Building. Then the guy who's in charge of the Empire State Building, the representative or whatever his name is, comes out and was like, I did not co-sign this whatsoever. This will never happen again. We sincerely apologize. And most of all, fuck the Philadelphia Eagles.
I don't know if you said that verbatim, but
I could read what his heart was saying. Honestly.
Yes.
I have this weird thing where when people speak, I can actually cut through the bullshit of what they were trying to say.
So the next thing up on our asinine comments of the day, Reggie Bush. So Reggie Bush tweets out 2 days. I don't know what this is 2 days ago. I'm assuming this is around the NFC Championship day.
It was during the NFC Championship game.
During the NFC Championship. This is Reggie Bush, and I quote, I don't care if the QB has a damn injury. It's the NFC Championship. He better start throwing left fucking handed, then we don't have time for boo-boos. Pat Mahomes was on one leg last week and still got the job done. All-time terrible take, first of all. I'm the one that said, remember I talked about Jay Cutler in the championship game, and, God, we were all ready to fillet him. Come to find out he had a lot of torn stuff. But I really love it when people get ratioed. I love it when people get called out, as long as it's not me.
Right.
But this dude with Titans End Zone as his username goes, is this you, clown? And on January 15th, Reggie Bush tweets out, Lamar Jackson should not step foot on the field unless his leg is 100%, especially in the playoffs. You don't get rewarded in contract for playing through pain, and God forbid you don't play like yourself. They will use that shit against you so quick. What a turnaround of events by Reggie Bush. You are the uninformed fans' clown of the week. Wow.
Tell you what. You hate to see something like that. You really do. But at the same time, Tyson, you absolutely fucking love to see it as well, too. You really, really do. Especially for a guy like Reggie Bush. A guy who, listen, great high school player, great college player. I would say an average NFL player. He had some really good years there with the Saints. For a while, we thought him being on the Lions was actually gonna be like a huge thing for the Lions. I remember that back then as well, too. But, listen, you're a good-looking guy who can sit up there and spout whatever you want to on TV. So, props to you. I'm glad, that you had Kim Kardashian for a while to make you a little bit more socially relevant in that entire thing. And, listen, I don't mind. I don't watch the Fox coverage, honestly, when it comes to college. Because why would you ever watch something like that when you have Herb Street and Corso on a different channel talking about it? But I'm sure the Fox coverage is fine with him and Matt Leinart and, all those.
Matt Leinart, all of the wash-ups. Gotta love it. I could see this comment being made by somebody that didn't play the game and supposedly didn't belong to the brotherhood that the NFL supposedly has where they're here to watch out for each other. But the fact that he played the game, played along, played in that level, and makes that comment, to me, is just one of the most asinine comments that you could make.
You're just trying to switch up for whatever's convenient. It's
as an educated football player, I just don't get it.
Like have the same energy the entire time. You know what I mean? Like that's all we're asking. It's all good.
Exactly. We want to get to the underlying tones there. Next up, Josh Allen skipping the Pro Bowl. Says he's hurt, but just playing in Pebble Beach. Good for you, Josh Allen.
Absolutely. Good for you, Josh Allen.
Good for you. We all like to do that. To me, the Pro Bowl was just a joke. I mean, I didn't even go to the Pro Bowl when it was here in Orlando. It's just a joke. I mean, there's nothing. And I know they're doing some games this year, and they should just scrap the Pro Bowl, in my opinion. It offers nothing to the game. It does offer, if you wanted to do that, all that the Pro Bowl does is offer like the NFL experience for the fans, right? There's like certain games where you can throw and you can kind of like simulate, compete against that stuff's cool. So just have a festival like that. And if players want to come, then they come. But we all know they're not going to unless they get paid.
Did you go to the one out in when it was here in Orlando? Did you go out to the Wide World of Sports and do the whole thing?
Did not. I think I
did.
I went
really
to.
Good.
I think I went to one Pro Bowl. I can't remember when, but it was like 15 years ago, back in my Hooter days, and it still sucked.
I feel like they got to make it worth something. Like when I say that,
even that, they made it worth like the winning team gets like $250,000 apiece or something like that. But I mean, on the same token, nobody's going full force. I mean, everyone's afraid of getting hurt on a normal game. Now, you're going to put your life on the line or your thing on the line for an extra $225,000 when a lot of these guys could be playing for a contract. This goes back in, a little bit, like college and bowl games and seniors skipping out of bowl games because they're afraid they're going to get hurt. This is going to be a little topic that we can talk about come college football season again, because I'm really curious of how that's going to impact with the NIL. And with these NIL contracts, like, are they going to be required to play all of their games in order to get that money? Or do they already have the money? I don't know, but that's something we can talk about later. But yeah, the Pro Bowl to me is a joke. Congratulations to Josh Allen for,
So absolutely. Go play Pebble Beach and chill with your boys and your friends over going to the Pro Bowl. Yeah. Going back to the Pro Bowl, why do they not just make it like wherever the Super Bowl is being hosted at, like just do it the week before there and just do it as like a fan experience for guys. Guys come out, whatever. You got one more week, you can stay, chill, watch Super Bowl if you want to, and I don't know. It's just
I don't think
no point to it anymore. We have a quarterback who threw for 2 touchdowns in the regular season going to the Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah, that's just a joke. Tim Tebow went to the Pro Bowl.
When everybody declines going, just scrap it.
Which, Boomer, point? Sean Kraft, if you're listening, you still owe me a pinky toe. Because my boy back in the day had a bet between, he's an Oklahoma fan, Sam Bradford and Tim Tebow, who would make it to the Pro Bowl. And whoever lost had to cut off their pinky toe. And Tim Tebow made it to the Pro Bowl. Boom. I still haven't got my pinky toe.
You really want that pinky toe?
Absolutely.
What would you do with it if you got that pinky toe?
Put it in the garbage disposal. But at least I know he doesn't have a pinky toe.
That's disgusting, by the way.
That's just life. All right, so let's get into some impactful comments here with the NFL as we're winding down for the end of the year. We did have a lot of movement going around with coaches this past week. We're going to start off with Coach Wilks. There's been some stuff coming out. We were both shocked at the hire by the Panthers to begin with. The fact that what's the guy's name from Indiana that they brought over?
Frank
Reich. Absolute dumpster fire in Indianapolis and gets the job over there. Well, it came out that Steve Wilks and his people, it looks to be like they are going to be suing the Carolina Panthers. They brought up some good points, the fact that, Wilks probably had the locker room. He did have a lot of momentum and he was doing good. It was definitely a surprise. I mean, they're going to put it on race relations. They're going to say, black head coach. That's why he didn't get the job. So that is definitely coming down the line as far as that goes. And then we also had Sean Payton hired to the Denver Broncos, which you had an interesting correlation for that.
All right, so it's funny. The same guy, Mark Ryan, right? He tweeted this thing out because they were talking about how there's a faction of players within the locker room that really wanted Steve Wilks as the head coach, right? And Mark Ryan basically said, "Listen, that's fine. You can't always go with the guy who's the most loved." And his comment was, you're going to go with Frank Reich, who's had, 3 top 10 offenses in the past 4 years, as opposed to Steve Wilks, who single covered Mike Evans in the most important game of your franchise in the past few years, and Mike Evans burned you for 3 touchdowns. I understand all that, but at the same time, like, players are going to play for the guy that they want to. There's got to be a certain element of that as well. I understand you can't keep them both because you can't have all the players wanting Steve Wilks there, and you can't keep him on and then have him undermining Frank Reich whenever Reich makes decisions. And then that's an interesting dynamic there as well too. I would expect Steve Wilks to land somewhere on his feet. He's a great defensive coordinator. He has been for most of the time. Did he make a mistake with the Mike Evans thing? Sure, but we've also talked about it the entire year that Tom Brady and Mike Evans were not on the same page. So if you're telling me that, yes, he single covered Mike Evans and got burned a few times, the only time that happened the entire year, I don't really have that much of a problem with it. I think that their strategy was sound, and I think they were winning that game for the first 3 quarters until after halftime, pretty much Brady just turned it on, and that was it. The Sean Payton thing is very interesting to me. My boy Brandon Kravitz. So my history back in the day, I used to work at a radio station. I was an intern for quite a while. And one of the guys who I studied under was Brandon Kravitz. Brandon Kravitz is an awesome dude. He does drive time radio here in Orlando area with one of his guys, Mario Tazi. But he was talking about the hiring of Sean Payton. And he said that basically the way that he looks at it is that the Denver Broncos are the person who goes to Whole Foods and buys food that is about to expire and pays a premium tax on it. Okay? Because when you look at having like Russell Wilson, right? When you look at having Sean Payton, these guys are a little past their prime. Now, do I think that there's a way that Sean Payton can step in and try to make Russell Wilson more like Drew Brees was? I 1,000% believe that. I think that if I think one of Russell Wilson's biggest problems, and one of the things that he left on the table this year, was rushing, right? He didn't run the ball at all. He was scared to get hit. He was like happy feet in the pocket when the pocket was collapsing. As before, what we saw with Russ in Seattle was when that pocket collapsed, boom, he was gone. You always had to have a spy on him. That was not the case this year whatsoever. Sean Payton needs to get back with him and work that out with him. It wasn't something that I think, Nathaniel Hackett had a lot with Aaron Rodgers, which we talked about that hire before. I think that was a terrible hire as well. Now, the question will be, that defense was already good. They got rid of Nick Chubb. Surtain is going to be the premier shutdown corner in the NFL for years and years and years. He was fantastic this year. That secondary is still fine. Linebacking is still okay as well. The defense is going to be the defense. He's trying to retain the guy right now who's the defensive coordinator last year, who got a few head coaching opportunities. I know there was a meeting with him yesterday that Sean Payton is trying to retain him as the coordinator. It'll be interesting to see in Denver. I just think when you look at that division, it's going to be so tough, man. Davante Adams put something out the other day, saying that, where should Aaron Rodgers look for houses at? And Davante Adams said, my neighborhood. Yep. With a team like Las Vegas who has the cap room now, what if you were to have, Herbert, Rodgers, Mahomes, and Wilson all in the same division, and all with defenses that can kind of compete. I would say the worst defense out of all those is definitely the Raiders, but second worst is definitely the Chiefs so far. If you look at the amount of talent they have on the field. I don't know. It just continues to get more and more interesting over there in that AFC West.
The AFC in general is just a far superior conference on paper. I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that are stacked over there versus the NFC. The NFC's in shambles.
We say this, right? We say that the AFC is far superior, and there might be like a head-to-head argument or something.
In quarterbacks.
Now, quarterbacking-wise, absolutely. But what have I said all year? Is that I thought that the winner was going to come out of the NFC because there's not one AFC defense that you're scared of in stopping any NFC team. Now, I feel like the only person who can really stop, Hurts is going to be Jalen Hurts. Because it's going to come down to him making throws and so on and so forth. And we can get more into Super Bowl predictions and what we're going to do later on in the show. But I don't see any way with their offensive line and the way that they run the ball consistently, I don't see anybody stopping the Eagles besides Jalen Hurts.
Yep,
my own personal opinion.
And it's time that we gotta get it. We're gonna get into the meat and bones of the show here, guys. It's time to talk about the elephant in the room. The last thing that we do want to mention is that Vic Fangio is going to the Miami Dolphins as the defensive coordinator, who is now going to be the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league.
Yes,
and
great.
I really feel like the Dolphins next year are going to be a team to be reckoned with him behind the wheel at that defense. I think that they had the tools. I just think that they weren't used very well last year. We saw some spurts of that defense throughout the year. But, man, obviously at Chicago, I have a lot of love for Vic Fangio. The guy is just one of the best defensive minds that there is in the NFL. And I think that division is going to be put on notice as long as Tua is healthy to come back, and with him behind the wheel as defensive coordinator. I think that division is going to be very, 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 very tough.
Absolutely. They have the pieces. They were terrible this year on defense despite all the talent they had. I don't know if that's just a scheme thing or what, but they were not good. As good as they were with Brian Flores the year before. But now I think the number one thing for the Dolphins, right? You got your guy, your defensive coordinator, your offense is pretty much set. You got to build your line. You have to get an insurance policy for Tua. You have to. If you don't get an insurance policy for Tua, this is all on you. I don't know where that comes from. We'll see if Jimmy is willing to maybe take a backup role. I highly doubt that. I think Jimmy Garoppolo was a starting quarterback in the NFL and deserves to be so. But if he's looking for a great opportunity with a guy that he's very familiar with, and Mike McDaniel and weapons everywhere, I think Jimmy G would be a great landing spot there in Miami as well too for an insurance.
You think I mean, you would have to know going into that job that Tua is going to get hurt at some point. I mean, let's be honest.
The odds are that he's probably going to get hurt at some point during the year. And
I mean, the guy has to be on such a short string with concussion protocols, right? I mean, the guy's just gotten smacked around.
He just got out of concussion protocol 2 days ago, I believe, is what I saw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no way, man. There's no way that dude's. You know, we don't want to wish injury on anybody, but there's no way that dude makes it through the year healthy.
I'm a huge Tua fan, and honestly, like I'm going to be rooting for the Dolphins this year. In terms of like an AFC team that you just want to pick, like I really want to see Miami do well this year. Not only for Mike McDaniel, not only for Tua Tagovailoa, but for just everybody on that team. You know, I think they've been through a lot. Their fan base has been through a lot. They seem to be much better fans of the Dolphins than the other Miami Hurricanes, and I can always appreciate that as well too.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you know, I'd be willing to say that the Miami Dolphins have a more loyal fan base than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I don't understand that either because Miami is just as transient as Tampa Bay, in my opinion. But I will say, as far as the Miami Hurricanes, that a lot of the well, let's be honest, a lot of the college stadiums are filled by students. And the fact that they play at the Hard Rock Stadium away from there is a little tough for them to get to. What do you keep shaking your head at?
There's only one section that's filled by students, first of all. Second of all, how did you just slander me wearing Bucks gear on our podcast, saying that the Dolphins have a better fan base than us?
They're more loyal. I'm just saying. They're more loyal. Look at the crowds.
In what way are they more loyal?
The fact are you talking about? Look at the fact that Dallas had almost a home field advantage in Tom Brady's potential last home game says volumes about Tampa Bay and the people that were just there to flip tickets to make money. You're telling me that, and we're getting into Tampa right now, folks. We're into Tampa Bay now. No, you hold your horses, Jeffrey. You're telling me. On inflation. Thanks, Biden. You're telling me that Tom Brady's last home game, possibly ever, okay, in Tampa Bay, that you have at least a 50% representation of Cowboy fans? Shame on you, Tampa. Shame on you, Tampa Bay. And I get it. People got the tickets to flip it. They got tickets to flip. There was a lot of things set up. You know, if you got in last year, you had to buy 2 years worth. You had to commit to 2 years because they knew damn good well that if Tom Brady left, everybody was going to drop their tickets anyway. But the fact is, when I talk about fan bases, and just like I was saying Miami's a beautiful place to go to. So is Tampa Bay. A lot of people like to vacation there. A lot of people move down there. They're very, very transient towns. A lot of people have outside team fan base, including myself. I'm a Chicago guy. I'm a Chicago Bears. But when they drafted my boy out of Florida and then they signed the GOAT, I became a Tampa Bay fan as a secondary team. Plus, Chicago also played here for like 2 years in a row, and they're coming back next year. It was cheaper for me to buy season tickets than to go to one game. So, yes, I sold some of my tickets as well. But guess what? When it came down to it, down to the end, I was fucking there. And the rest of Tampa Bay was not. You were at home on your TV counting your $200 that you made off Tampa Tom's last game. Fan base. Anyway.
So we can also get into other parts of our fan base, which I know you want to touch on in a minute when it comes to what are the Bucks going to do at quarterback next year. Just I want to say, as somebody who has been a Tampa Bay fan my whole life, who was not a transient fan, who's somebody who's grown up in Florida my whole life, who's been through, you know, the Greasies, the Johnsons, Rob and Brad, who's been through Chris Sims, who's been through Josh Freeman, who's been through Jameis Winston. I just want to say thank you to Tom Brady. I appreciate the fact that you chose us as opposed to being drafted and forced onto us. I appreciate the way that you have conducted yourself as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer the entire time that you've been here. I appreciate the what you brought to our franchise in terms of relevance, in terms of, you know, listen, we're not selling out those tickets like that, if it's not Tom Brady's game. The way that he's conducted himself, the level that he's brought our team to, the way that he raised everybody in that locker room to be a champion is immeasurable. And for that, I just want to say thank you, Tom. Tyson mentioned something about being the GOAT on the field, but also the GOAT in terms of in life. And the way that you handled everything this year with your personal stuff going on, was obviously way better than Michael Jordan ever has. The way that you conduct yourself in terms of off the field is obviously way better than Michael Jordan ever has. The way that you try to press nutrition and being health conscious to everybody.
Careful with that one.
Not drinking, being much better in terms of your macros and things that you're ingesting into your body. I just want to say thank you for that as well too, because that's something that Michael Jordan has never done as well.
Michael Jordan brought weightlifting to the NBA. No, you're not gonna disrespect it. No, you're not disrespecting Jordan like that one. That's why I said be careful on that one.
There's a story that came out that I've had the pleasure of getting to know a player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and his wife posted a story on Instagram about what an incredible father that Tom Brady has been this year to his children, and about the fact that they have gone every other week to this animal shelter to be with each other's children, to fellowship with them, and to be in a great space in terms of just giving back. There's been no media about it whatsoever.
Are we supposed to break this story?
It's already broken. It got broken on Instagram 2 days ago, and it got tweeted out by Jenna Lane, Bucks reporter, as well.
Just making sure, bro. Just making sure.
Which, listen, I've known about the story for a little while now. It's nobody's business but theirs, And listen, once Ashley wanted to make that public, that is completely on her. And God bless the Ryans. I appreciate them and everything they have done for me, and I'm as amazing as they've been, and great friends that I've been able to. And I'm a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be able to call them friends. Let me just put it like that. But I just want to thank Tom Brady for what he's done for the organization. You will forever be a Buccaneer legend. I don't care if it was 3 years, bro. Doesn't matter to me. Put him in the Ring of Honor. Give him a statue outside. I want to see a let's fucking go on the very bottom of it with him holding his Bucks helmet up in the air. Okay. Well, thank you, Tom. And I wish you nothing but blessings and happiness and love in retirement. I hope it's absolutely phenomenal for you. I hope you find everything that you're looking for, man. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, there's some tissues over there to your left. Obviously, it's not quite. This is Tampa Retirement 2.0. So, this one
doesn't slap the same as it did last year.
It doesn't slap, but this one does feel more permanent. So, the same thing is, we did get to see some great games from you, Tom. Thank you for that.
For 3 years, we got to go into every single Sunday thinking that we're guaranteed winning this football game. And when we were down in football games, we were laughing at other fan bases. I was at the bar laughing at other fan bases like, you don't think Tom Brady's coming back? You don't think Tom Brady's coming back? Watch this shit. And every single time, bro. Every single time, without fail, Tom, you did it for us.
Well,
this was a tough year. This was a tough year.
Yeah, this was definitely a tough year. And,
all around.
A lot of people are going to talk about it. And, a lot of people are going to bring up, but here at the Uninformed Fan, we talk about all aspects. One of the biggest aspects of Tom's retirement to me is like we were talking about everything that they were going through, his family. Obviously, Clay said the Tom Brady crypto advice was solid.
Hey man, look, Tom lost $50 million on that shit, right?
He also
lost $50 million of his own money.
He probably also got paid $100 million. That's awesome. But just the resounding thing that I guess I feel, and I'm not in the room with them, but you did lose your family. You lost Giselle. You lost all that, and we lost that kind of like middle of the season, and then for like 3 more months. Obviously, there must have been other things going on.
I thought he was sad, man. Like, he looked sad to me a lot of the times, and I feel like this retirement is more of him realizing that everybody was like, oh, he doesn't have Giselle now to bring him down. Like, that was
Nah.
Like as somebody who's married with children, who has their in-laws that live with them, like you want all the support and all the help you can get so that you don't feel some type of way when you go to do something. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when you have to go do something. Now that he's a single parent, bro, and like
well, let's be honest.
God willing, I won't ever have to go through that. But what I'm saying, I'm sure he could hire help if he wanted to. But I also think that he does feel some type of way about the fact that he's a single parent and he wants to be there for his kids because that's the type of human being that he is.
Why would you not want to be there for your entire family, though? Like back in the day. And first of all, he isn't a single parent. I guarantee it that there's like 10 fucking people in that household that do everything. But you know what? It's time to move on. It's time for the Bucs to move on. So let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where do we go from here? Now,
yeah,
you know, I as I already said, I am a Gator. Everybody knows this. Obviously, my wife.
I'm a Seminole. Everybody knows that. So
my wife was a Patriot. You know, so when Tom came down here, obviously she had an interest. We did see Tom as a Patriot a couple times on enemy territory. Kyle Trask is the only quarterback that's under contract now. Now,
yes,
I talked to you about this earlier in the week. It amazes me the absolute hatred that the Tampa Bay fan base has towards this kid, who has never seen a first-team rep, to my knowledge. I definitely not on the field. Okay, now somebody that watched him in Florida. Now, obviously, the college football program is not the NFL. We all know that. But on the same token, Kyle Trask made Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts didn't have the recognition if he didn't have a quarterback throwing him the ball. And all of these, you know, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He couldn't do this. He also led the college in passing yards, I believe, that season. But on the same token, he was also not able to beat out Felipe Franks in practice. I think it goes back again to what, like, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy couldn't beat out Jimmy G. He couldn't beat out Trey Lance, or supposedly that's what it was, correct? So, but what do you think of Brock Purdy now that he got a shot with the first team reps? You look back at, you know, some of the reports that are coming out from Tampa Bay, as Tom Brady was also so competitive that he wanted the reps that nobody else got the first team reps besides Tom Brady. Not even Blaine Gabbert, except for when he was gone, whatever those first 3 days of the week or whatever, or his Wednesdays off or whatever. So, you know, going through these Bucs chat rooms to me, dude, is like just nails on a chalk. It just amazes me. The kid's trash. The kid's this. The kid's this. And I'm going to go with about 90% of them are Florida State fans. And that brings us to another topic, which I'm going to let Jeffrey talk about before, about, you know, Tampa Bay and drafting quarterbacks. But here's the bottom line. You're $55 million over the salary cap. You sold out the last couple of years to make a run, and rightfully so. You got a huge dead cap hit coming with Tom Brady this year. You're already going to have to restructure people just to keep it down. You still have to bring in another quarterback just to simply have a backup. Now, whether that's Blaine Gabbert, whatever, I highly doubt Blaine Gabbert is going to want to come and be Kyle Trask's backup. Maybe he will, because maybe he'll think he'll get to play. I don't know. I'm not in that locker room. But it just amazes me how many Buck fans just write off everything about who's on that roster. We need Rodgers. We need Derek Carr. First of all, you don't have any money for these guys. You are 55 in the fucking negative right now. This dude on Facebook yesterday was talking to me about how the Bucs need to go after Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. First of all, you can't afford Baker Mayfield. You're like the United States government right now. You have a negative bank account, but unfortunately in the NFL, you actually have to be accountable for it, and you have to come back to that salary cap. The Bucs are going to be in absolute shambles this year. They're already talking about. There's rumors of Mike Evans being traded. There's people on the fan base that are saying to get rid of Mike Evans. And this is what I was talking about a toxic fan base. And this is the reason for this whole show, the uninformed fan. Because every single one of those fuckers are an uninformed fan. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you have no idea what you're talking about to a less degree than me. Because I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I speak with passion. But here's the deal. You have Kyle Trask on there. You're $55 million over the cap. You're already going to have to make some shenanigans, make some moves. Your number one corner is about to hit the free agent market. You probably aren't going to keep him as well. You still have to sign a veteran quarterback. I suggested something like a Chase Daniels type. The next year, Bucs fans, is not going to be good. You can either take your lumps, and as you said, the 2024 quarterback class is going to be absolutely loaded.
Fact.
In my opinion, you do what you got to do to get under the cap. You bring in a Chase Daniels type to back up Kyle Trask. You see what the kid's got. If he doesn't perform, you donked for the year, you cleared your salary cap, and now you're in a perfect position to take a top pick and a quarterback in next year. If I hear Derek fucking Carr's name one more time in Tampa, you're not winning with Derek Carr. He hasn't won anywhere he's went. Anybody can put up stats. He hasn't won. He had Devontae Adams, who couldn't get it done.
And Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller and the best running back of the NFL and Josh Jacobs and okay offensive line. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot to unpack there from everything you just went through.
Let's start with the quarterback draft.
One at a time, okay?
Let's start with the quarterback draft.
Listen, I said back when Jameis Winston was quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that going forward, I don't think that the Bucs should ever draft a quarterback coming out of Florida State or Florida. Ever. Now, that's my opinion as a fan. That's not my opinion as like a front office person. Because if it's a front office person, they don't care where you went to school at. But with social media and the rise of Twitter and, like you said, chat rooms, message boards, Facebook fan groups, stuff like that, it has become such a toxic situation because our fan base, let's be honest, it's in Tampa, okay? So we're going to be normally about 60% Gator fans, I'd say 40% Florida State fans, and then the 1% of Miami or whatever that nobody cares about, okay? That's just kind of the way that it breaks down. When Jameis was drafted, it was terrible, right? People hated Jameis. Now you add in all the factors that came along with Jameis, right? He's the number one pick. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He won a national championship for the rival school. He had rape accusations. He had BB gun shooting accusations.
Crab
legs accusations, right? Like all these things then turn into arguments for why you are allowed to belittle or hate somebody online. Okay? Kyle Trask, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I want to see, okay? I'm looking at it as an unbiased fan, right? Am I a diehard Florida State fan? Absolutely.
That warms my heart. I just want you to know that.
Did Kyle Trask ever do anything to me or to Florida State like to make me hate him? No. He seems like a stand-up kid. You know, I know he backed up De'Aaron King like pretty much his entire high school career, right? He was a backup. He didn't really start any games, and then he goes to Florida. He ends up being a backup at Florida, and then when he ends up getting a shot, he ends up balling out. Okay, which is fine. He had a ton of weapons, right? Florida had a great team that year. He gets drafted second round to the Bucs. I don't know if that's high or low, because who knows at this point. I'm assuming we reached a little bit. I don't know where he was slotted at on draft day, but
I think it was a reach.
I think we reached a little bit for him. Honestly,
I think it was a reach.
Which is fine. Like, maybe Bruce saw something, right? But we got to keep in mind, too, Kyle Trask was drafted to run that offense. The only reason that we kept Blaine Gabbert and kept him around the entire time is because he knew the offense so well. If Tom Brady left the game, nothing changed offensively. He came right in. He ran the exact same thing. He's not a mobile guy. He's not going to run around. He's going to be a pocket passer, get the ball out very quickly, run the ball, play action, screen passes, whatever it is. That was the offense. We are no longer running that offense anymore, right? We fired Byron Leftwich. We're going away from Bruce Arians' system, right? Todd Bowles is trying to make a name for himself as a head coach. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Todd Bowles knows that he has basically 1 year to prove himself as a head coach. And if he doesn't, they're going to get rid of all of them. So
especially after firing all of Arians' people.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So if you're Todd Bowles, are you going to hand the ball over to Kyle Trask and say, go win me games and go make sure I don't get fired this year? Probably not, right? You're probably going to try to go out and get some kind of a veteran quarterback to at least just manage you to 500 because that division is still absolutely fucking terrible. Everybody's in rebuild mode still. You know, you got Desmond Ridder over there. Who knows what you have over in New Orleans? And then what? In Carolina, I don't know. I guess it's Sam Darnold. I'm not really sure. They have a brand new head coach in Frank Reich.
The division is still wide open.
So the division is so wide open. I feel like they're going to come in. They're going to try to get a vet or whoever they can. I don't know where the answer is, and I don't know how they get around this. I understand you probably have to make a trade.
But
you probably
again,
have to trade somebody good that signed a team-friendly deal, because they only wanted to play with Tom Brady. If they trade Mike Evans, I will be heartbroken.
If they trade Mike Evans, I'll burn. I'm done.
I mean,
if they trade Mike Evans and don't, if they trade Mike Evans, and then
if they trade Godwin, I'm upset, right? Because I love Chris Godwin, but I'm not upset like I'm upset if they trade Mike Evans.
Well, Mike Evans did everything the right way. He restructured his contract every single time. He didn't take top dollar, and back to what you were saying about the rest of the divisions. The only team that's worse on the cap than the Bucs is the Saints.
The Saints.
And how the fuck do you have that shitty of a team and be $57 million over the cap? But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, so they got the pick for Sean Payton now, so at least they'll have their first back. Because I believe, didn't they? Doesn't Philly have their first round pick this year?
I don't know.
I think Philly has the Saints' first round pick this year.
You are right, and that does bring up a good point about Todd Bowles, and it just puts Kyle Trask in an unfortunate situation. But did we even hire an offensive coordinator yet?
Not yet. They're still going through the process. They've interviewed like 8 guys. Listen, that's not to say that Kyle's not going to be able to run whatever system it is. You know what I mean?
No, you summed it up. You summed it up at one point. If I had to put my career in anyone's hands, am I going to put it in somebody that hasn't that Bruce Arians and that staff drafted? And am I going to put all my eggs in that basket? Or if I can, am I going to try to go get somebody? Now, like you said, in order to go get somebody, they're going to have to blow. In my opinion, they're going to have to blow up the team, because you're going to be. I mean, like I said, you're $55 million over the cap.
See, the problem is right now is that, like, tearing it down, like, I don't even know what that looks like, right? Because Shaq Barrett has all this money promised to him. You still got Tom Brady on the hook. Now they're saying that they can break Tom Brady up $11 million against the cap this year, $24 million against the cap next year, which is fine. You can do that, but you're only going to do that if you're going to try to be in win now mode, right? Because you're going to try to keep on extending this thing out as long as you possibly can. If you're in tear down and rebuild mode, just tear it down and rebuild.
Chris Godwin
take the $35 million cap hit. Yeah. What about Godwin?
$20 million.
Yeah. Okay. What's his dead cap hit? What's his dead cap hit? Because dead cap is basically like cut or trade.
$35 million.
Yeah. So, okay. What you gonna trade Chris Godwin for the number 1 pick and draft a quarterback?
Well, first of all, the Bears ain't trading the number 1 pick for Chris Godwin.
It would obviously be a package, but it would be Godwin plus,
I mean, you look at this right here, right? So this is what you have. You have Tom Brady, $35 million. Chris Godwin, $23.7 million. Mike Evans, $23.7. Shaquille Barrett, $21.6. Carlton Davis, $18.2. Devontae Smith, $17.9. Vita Vea, 15.6. That's the dead cap hit. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the Donovan Smith dead cap is 8. But yeah,
Donovan Smith will be gone because they'll save $9 million on that transaction and just kind of keep it moving.
But that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so if we're getting rid of a few of the big pieces, I mean, at that point you're in shambles.
What big pieces we'd be getting rid of? Like, I'll tell you this right now. I think Shaq Barrett will restructure his contract after missing all year with the Achilles or whatever it was last year. I think Mike is always willing to restructure. Mike's always willing to take less money if you just pay him a friend, whatever you got to do. Mike will always be a team-friendly guy. Chris, I don't really know about because Chris just signed his deal. So I don't know if you can go to that well after 1 year and say, hey, we need you to restructure and do this and this and this.
Well, he definitely can. Whether or not he does.
He can, but I don't know if he will is what I'm saying. Vita, just leave Vita Vea alone. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go talk to that guy.
Well, this is kind of what we're talking about as far as where do we go from here. And if you're bringing in anybody in, Kyle Trask is on the hook for $700,000.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's going to allow you to, because you already have to get rid of $20 million. That's a lot of restructuring. Yeah.
I don't mind running this back. Like, I don't mind running this back and then putting Kyle Trask at quarterback. And if that shit doesn't work, listen, let's make a move during the season. There's always teams that have quarterbacks that are willing to do something who's on an expiring contract or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like,
I really feel like I really feel like that's what we're going to see. I really feel like it's going to be I think they're going to bring in a veteran, maybe in like a Mike Glennon type. Bring the old Glennon back.
Please don't do that.
Hey, bro, I suffered with him on the Bears too.
Please don't do that.
But someone like that's been around, maybe even a Joe Flacco, that up in the Jets, have him come in on a veteran minimum to back up, start the season. You're already going to have to do a lot to restructure. Someone's going, and that's just the ultimate bottom line truth. I don't think looking at these numbers, I don't think you can restructure all of this to regain $35 million. I could be wrong, but I don't see that. So you bring in right there, just to your point, you start the season, you do training minicamp, you give the kid all of the first game reps, you get 6 games into the season. If it's not, who knows if Derek Carr will even be on a team at that point. You don't know. You don't know who's going to be out there. You don't know who's going to be available. You make a trade, or as you just said, you take all of the dead cap hit this year. And if you suck, the 2024 class is going to be a great class. You draft your quarterback there, and you go on, and it's a 1-year shit rebuild. Whereas you have teams like the Bears that are forever in a rebuild, or the Redskins or the Commanders that they always feel like they're in a rebuild. I feel like that's a lot of these NFL teams, the Panthers, the Texans. The Jags, up until this year, how many number 1 picks has the Jags have? How many top 10 picks? How many first round picks? And they're just now finally becoming the relevance. It's just, I feel like you take the 1-year hit. And that's not even saying that you don't perform well, because you don't know. And I think that's kind of what frustrates me about Kyle Trask, because I'm on the same, he might bomb. I'm not saying he's the answer. But on the same token, I've seen him ball out. That's what I just feel. I feel like you just give him the shot, and if you suck, you tank the season. You get a better quarterback, and you go from there. Now, the only problem is, just like you said, does Todd Bowles have the security to be able to play it that way? I don't know. I think that's a conversation they need to have.
The other problem is, too, when you're talking about offensive coordinators, how many of those offensive coordinators feel like Todd Bowles' job is going to be secure after 1 year? And are you going to be a 1-year rental for if the Bucs tank this year, to then they're going to want to bring in their own offensive coordinator for a brand new rookie starting quarterback and go through the rebuild that way? Be very interested to see. The Bucs have a lot of tough decisions to make. I do want to point out one thing you said. You talked about Jamel Dean, right, who's a free agent who is pretty much where we have zero shot at re-signing. He was my favorite quarterback. Corner. He was my favorite cornerback that the Bucs had since we've drafted him. Pretty much. I thought he's been great. He's performed. I don't know why he didn't play against the Cowboys. He literally sat on the sideline the entire time, did nothing. Played special teams. So weird to me. I don't know if they were trying to devalue his worth or something like that on the free agent market. I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that was. I heard that he was sick possibly, but if he's sick, why is he still getting special teams reps? I don't know. Very weird situation. I hope nothing but the best for Jamel Dean. I appreciate you helping us win a Super Bowl and being part of that great secondary that shut down the Chiefs.
No, I will say Todd Bowles, though, he did sign a 5-year contract in 2022. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
doesn't matter.
I understand the owners don't care about that as well, but in order to do that, he's going to have to get paid out as well. I don't know.
They're about to sell Manchester United. I think they're going to be pretty flush with cash here.
I'm pretty sure they're not worried about the money, and any NFL owner should not be worried about money. I've always had this vision, of hitting it big in the cryptocurrency markets, right? Buying the Bears, and I look at it this way, right? If I'm worth $10 billion, right, $20 billion, whatever my net worth, why do I give a fuck if my NFL team makes money or not? First of all, it's a tax write-off. Second of all, spend it all. I don't want a dollar left over. Just give me the best team and win.
There's a salary cap, right?
I do realize there's a salary cap.
There's a salary cap. You have to stay within the constraints of that.
But there's ways around that shit, man.
By the way, crypto right now, what crypto's bouncing back, right? Bitcoin's coming back a little bit.
Yeah, Bitcoin's doing good. Yeah.
Yeah. What about Meta? I'm always so intrigued about the metaverse.
Okay, we are going into stock talk. So Meta
and
just announced a $40 billion. Did a $40 billion buyback. They're buying back their stocks. So it literally shot from $125 to $185 overnight, and it was still climbing.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I always love that. Because I have the PlayStation VR thing, and we got the Meta Quest or whatever it is as well too. My kids love. So I just feel like that might be the future someday. You know.
This is not stock advice, folks. We are not financial advisors. # no ad. Well, I think it's going to be a very interesting, to see what the Bucks actually do here. I don't, next week we're going to dive into the Super Bowl a little bit. We're going to break that down, obviously. It's Friday. Today's Friday, so we got some stuff going over the weekend. I'm heading down. Actually, we will be on location in Miami for the next stream, so hopefully that works well.
What are you doing in Miami?
Me and the wife are going to go down. As some of you mostly know, that I own a memorabilia business as well. So we're going to go down there for a memorabilia show, kind of scope out, see what's down there, see if we can unload some of our materials. They do a monthly show. Yeah. And then I'm probably going to be in LA pretty soon. We're going to be meeting with some studios over there about the music as far as the Live Life Media Group business. So
love that.
Things are definitely happening behind the scenes for your boy Business Time.
Yeah, I told him he needs to record some of these transactions at the the memorabilia show. You know, these things get some clicks on the old Facebook reels over there. You know, I want to see Tyson Thomas negotiating over here. You know. Like, how much for the Mahomes signed helmet, and, this, rookie card over here? What do you want to do? What kind of a deal you want to make?
That would be a good episode for sure.
Are you just selling, or do you buy too, or do you, trade or barter or whatever?
I probably have about $100,000 worth of inventory I'm trying to get rid of. So, I'm a seller at this point. There's no...
Good luck, Bubba.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Clayton, you definitely own the day as far as the best comment as well, as far as the crypto advice. That one had me rolling. We're going to juice up on a little Formula One over the weekend. We're going to get a little caught up with that. A lot of good stuff coming down for that. Of course, we have the Super Bowl coming up, and pretty soon, pitchers and catchers are going to be reporting. And then we get sucked into the world of baseball again. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What a year it's going to be. Everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks a lot for tuning in.